A warning that acts of terrorism in France could delay the EU's post-Erika assistance for Dominica. OECS heads push for improvements in regional air transportation to match the pace of regional integration. And the Council on Aging condemns elderly abuse, urging everyone to enlist in the fight to end it. I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. The details coming up. Topping the news, Prime Minister Skerritt says he is prepared for a delay in funds from the European Union following recent attacks on France, a European state.
France is the largest country in the European Union, and assaults by terrorists in its capital of Paris on the weekend concerns Mr. Skerritt. He has told his OECS counterparts to prepare for the implications the event will have for our economies and way of life. He used the opening ceremony of the 62nd meeting of OECS heads of state on Wednesday to express solidarity with the people of the French Republic.
Let me first of all say and extend again, as I did I've done in the past and also in a letter to the President of the French Republic, express our horror at the barbaric attack on the French people. Innocent people who have been murdered by people who propagate hate. Europe's attention now is focused on fighting the terrorists, and therefore the resources will be focused on fighting the terrorists. And no doubt will have implications for the hassle-free travel into Europe, our economies, trade matters, and also the financial package which we normally receive from the European Union. Though it will not be impacted, but certainly it will be delayed in its delivery because of the focus of this serious matter in Europe.
Heads of government absent at the meeting are St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, St. Lucia's Prime Minister Dr. Kenny Anthony, and President of Regional Council of Martinique, Serge Lechimi. They have all sent representatives on their behalf. Idona Jean-Baptiste, Channel 5 News.
In other news, two OECS heads of government are calling for a regional response to hassles faced with intra-regional travel.
As the only regional airline serving the most Caribbean destinations, Liat continues to be criticized when its service leaves a lot to be desired. It is the longest serving Caribbean airline, continuously operating since 1956. Liat is owned by the majority government shareholders of Barbados, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and more recently Dominica. Chairman of the OECS and Prime Minister of Grenada, Dr. Keith Mitchell, told Wednesday's ceremony of the OECS authority progress on regional integration should also involve improving air transportation.
We cannot talk about freedom of movement. We cannot talk about serious integration if we cannot get from one country to the next. I seriously get headache when they tell me I have to come to Dominica from Grenada because it's like doing some serious mathematical formula, but I can take a plane. 9 o'clock in Grenada, and I land in Miami at 12 o'clock. No headache. Colleagues, we cannot do that to our generations.
Mitchell is proposing reducing taxes on travel as a measure to address the challenge.
We have to reduce the taxes, so be it. Because in the end, we'll get more. If more people travel, we'll get less tax on one person traveling, but the multiplicity of activities will in fact increase. And I'm talking here because I'm Minister of Finance in Grenada. But I know the impact.
Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. Timothy Harris, shares the view that Liat's operations require improvement. He was displeased that he could not travel to Dominica from St. Kitts after 2 p.m. on Tuesday. Liat is only offering a morning flight from St. Kitts to Dominica. One must either travel through Antigua or both Antigua and Barbados before reaching Dominica from St. Kitts.
Having been delayed in Parliament yesterday after, 2 o'clock, It's never possible to get to Dominica if I were to leave St. Kitts after 2. But to get here, I had to charter a plane to take our delegation to Dominica. Something better must be demanded of Liat. And whatever the views we hold, and whether or not we are shareholders, and some do believe unless you are a shareholder, you shouldn't talk about it. Well, I am speaking about it not as a shareholder, I'm speaking about it as a simple customer of Liat demanding better quality service.
And night flights suspended since Tropical Storm Erica likely to resume in December.
Dominica continues to experience reduced flights, especially by Liat, since the August 27 storm. Damage to Douglas Charles Airport was in excess of 41 million EC dollars. Tourism Minister Robert Tong told Channel 5 News government is feverishly advocating on behalf of the country to improve on Liat's schedule for Dominica.
We continue to struggle with the challenges of Tropical Storm Erica, especially in light of Liat. As you know, Liat itself has its challenges, and those challenges directly affect us. So Liat, prior to the storm, had about 18 or 16 aircraft. Liat is actually down right now to about 8 functioning aircraft as a result of changing over from the old to the new. So obviously that not only impacts on Dominica, it impacts on all the islands. So before we had 6 flights coming to Dominica, 2 of them impacted by night landing. So we would expect to have 4 flights, but however, with the less flights that Liat has, also insufficient pilots being trained for the new aircraft, we only have 2 flights. We speak with them almost every 2 weeks to see what's going on and what we can do to make it better.
Since the damage by the storm, there are no flights coming or leaving the island beyond 5 p.m. Government recently purchased solar lights for the airstrip.
The intention is that within the first week of December, the lights will be installed and will be ready for night landing in Dominica. And in discussions with Liat, the next round of scheduling for the pilot will be the 11th. So we're hoping that by the 11th of December, prior to the real peak season for tourism product and also persons coming back for Christmas and visit their friends and family, that we will be able to have night landing back on schedule for the 11th of December. Hopefully we in Dominica will be ready for it, and then we're dependent on Liat, but again we'll continue speaking to them and pushing them to put those flights back.
Tong says other efforts are ongoing to improve air access.
Win Air has started back some additional flights into Douglas Charles Airport. We also have some additional challenges with Hummingbird Air that is currently out of operation for a very short time, hopefully, and that again will also impact on our air access. We are working and speaking with Seaborne Airlines to see if they can put in some additional flights, especially from the Barbados end, to help persons who come into Barbados to be able to leave the same day. And you'd have just heard the Minister of St. Kitts and the Minister of Grenada also commenting that Liat has to do a bit better, not just for Dominica but for all the islands, to ensure that persons have better access to and from the Caribbean.
In other news, Dominicans are being urged to join the fight against abuse of the elderly in society. Andrea Louis has details.
The call has come from executive members of the Dominica Council on Aging. The council says there are many types of abuse directed at the elderly.
Financial is one of them, and it takes various forms. It could be getting them to sign over their properties, and without they understanding what they're doing. Physical abuse, name calling. This is very common in Dominica, calling people's name, and so on. So the abuse is there. Sometimes it's very hidden, but it is occurring. And what the sad thing is that it is occurring in the homes. So those kinds of issues are there. And so we want to highlight them and bring them forward and see, well, how can we educate people about it so that we can in turn reduce the incidence of abuse.
The documentation of cases of elder abuse has been a challenge for the council so far, but steps are being taken to address this problem.
Data is an issue for us, and we are hoping that coming out of the conference will be the need for us to be able to have a more concerted effort at gathering that type of information. And then abuse, as Mrs. Toussaint said, is very, very general.
We have lawyers, we have people, social workers, all kinds of people who are interested, youth and senior people. It's because we need a good relationship with you so that you can even be able to identify things that are questionable and bring them up, if not to the police, but to our attention so that we can address those businesses.
The Council is preparing to host the 3rd Caribbean Conference on Aging, Elder Abuse and Rights of Older Persons from 30th November to 1st December this year. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
And the Princess Margaret Hospital has once again benefited from a donation of medical supplies.
The donation from the United Workers' Party comes through assistance of overseas-based individuals. The party was able to acquire medicines, catheters, and other healthcare-related items.
We reached out to our friends in the diaspora, and thanks in large part to the efforts of Dr. Dale Dangleben and a group of Dominicans in the Pennsylvania and New York area who spent very long days loading this container of supplies. We were able to get these supplies there with just hundreds of different medical supplies that we are pleased at this time to give to the Princess Margaret Hospital.
Fontaine says provision of medical supplies in the wake of Tropical Storm Erica was top on the list for the party.
We realized at the time that there were a number of people who were already involved in getting food. And in our view, food was not the most immediate need or the most critical need. It was important, yes, but bear in mind the medical supplies are often something in short supply, and they're often very expensive. It was a very good time, we thought, to actually reach out and see how much we could actually get. We believe that it was a great opportunity to get some of those things that we would not otherwise have access to.
The medical supplies, which arrived on island a week ago, will also be distributed to other health centers around the country.
You're watching Channel 5 News. Will continue after this. Thank you for staying with us. The leader of the parliamentary opposition has spoken out in support of the people of France. On Friday, 13th November, ISIS terrorists killed 129 people, 89 of whom were at the Bataclan Theatre. 433 people were admitted to hospital, with 80 critically injured. 7 of the attackers died.
Our thoughts and prayers are with the people of France, especially our brothers and sisters living there, who suffered through that brutal wave of terror attacks on Friday. We condemn this unforgivable atrocity and all the other senseless terrorist assaults on innocent lives and human freedom around the world. We join the call for justice to be done for the dead, the injured, the traumatized, and those who mourn. In solidarity, we stand defiantly with the patriots of the free world for peaceful coexistence, regardless of color, creed, borders, nationality, politics, and religion.
The attacks have been described as the deadliest in France since World War II. A consultation to establish an integrated insurance and pension market in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union got underway on Wednesday. The project, which started in 2012, was in response to the challenges caused in the region due to the collapse of the CL Financial Group. The steering committee established to implement the project consists of representatives from the insurance industry, insurance regulators, ECCU governments, and an international expert. We'll have more on that in our next newscast. And community leaders from around Dominica have been trained on how to better assist those dealing with high-stress situations. Andrea Louis reports.
This was the aim of a one-day workshop organized by ADRA. The individuals were introduced to the community resilience model, which can be used to help others directly affected by the passage of Tropical Storm Erica.
This special program aims to help people return to their resilience model. The resilience model is one in which where people after, we have what is called the resilience zone, which is where you are at your best self. and after a disaster or some incident, then you can either bump out or bump off your resilience zone. And the community resilience model helps you to either remain within your resilience zone, widen your resilience zone, or return to your resilience zone. And this, of course, we know that Erica bumped us out of our resilience zone.
The local ADRA branch received help from the Loma Linda University for International Behavioral Trauma team in this venture. 6 major skills regarding trauma resiliency were passed on to community leaders who attended this workshop.
Some things have happened here and things happen in our lives all the time that we don't expect. And when those happen, what we want to do is to become who we were before. So we want to be able to manage the stress of things at difficult times. And to do that, sometimes we need to learn skills. And what we find is that these skills, which are biologically and neurologically based, they help us to become our best self again. This is not about mental illness or weakness, this is about human biology. Because if people are functioning at their best and they're not functioning in what we think of as their survival mode, they can make better decisions about building their community back, about choices for the future.
The workshop aimed to strengthen the country's human resource capacity to manage post-traumatic experiences.
And coordinator of the Child Abuse Prevention Unit says a program organized to help children affected by Tropical Storm Erica has been successful.
The Return to Happiness program was organized by the Social Welfare Division, Child Prevention Unit and UNICEF. St. Lucian representatives from UNICEF came to Dominica a week after Erica to assist children traumatized by the storm. Experts say the children were more traumatized than initially imagined.
The Return to Happiness program is bringing them back to that sense of happiness. So they were once sad because they lost a lot in the storm, but we are bringing them back now to happiness to let them know we are no longer, the storm has passed. Some of them were in shelters, but they are being taken care of. They are still with their families, to let them know this is the happy part of it. Now also we would let them sing a song or draw or tell what happened through a poem or through drama. And it was interesting to see how the children actually drew what they saw the storm did, because some children, you know, they drew that and when the storm came, before the storm came there was sunshine, when the storm came there was rain, after the storm I lost my toys or I lost my pets.
Lewis says during the program, some of the children revealed that they had lost friends.
During the Return to Happiness program, you saw that came out because they were able to speak about what they went through when they lost their friends and how they're feeling about it. And so we were able to bring that out. And because of that, we could refer them for further psychological assessments to help them recover from the trauma that they suffered.
Children who were not staying at the shelters who also received help through the program. Azil says counselors at the division as well as counselors attached to the emergency team also have an ongoing system for children affected who were not staying at shelters. The Social Welfare Division will continue to supervise the children affected by Erica and continuation of therapeutic treatment where necessary.
That's news. Kenny Williams is next with your sports highlights.
On the cricket scene, a fourth consecutive day of wet conditions ended the test between India and South Africa in a draw on Wednesday. On the first day of play, India put South Africa into bat and the home team bowled out the visitors for 214 before Dhawan contributed 45 to India's 80. Playing his 100th test match, Villiers scored 85 for South Africa, setting the pace for his teammates. India led the series 1-0 and is expected to play their third test at Nagpur on the 25th of November. Still in cricket, Australian High Commissioner Ross William Tyso made a presentation of cricket equipment to the Kalinago Sports Committee and Les Calais 300 on Wednesday. The presentation fulfilled the promise made by the Australian cricketers to the Kalinago territory.
Our cricketers had a coaching clinic for the Kalinago community. which was very successful and a great day. And at that time, we committed to handing over cricket kits to the Kalinago community, so to carry on their good work.
Taiso said cricket is a healthy outlet for young people, and he hopes that the equipment would aid in the advancement of sports locally.
We see sport as a real positive influence on young people in the Caribbean, and giving them a discipline and activity, and of course keeping them fit and healthy as well. So we hope that the kits for the L'Escalier 300 and the Kalinago Sports Committee can fulfill all their dreams, if you like, and one day find themselves down there on the Oval playing for the West Indies.
Meantime, Parliamentary Representative for the Kalinago Territory, Cassius Daru, welcomed the donation.
And this is a special thanks to you, sir, for gifting us with this gears. It's going to go a long way in the development of cricket in the Kalinago Territory. We don't only see sports as a way to get out of other activities, but as a means of fitness, and within the Caribbean perspective of it, we know all the different non-communicable diseases that we have been faced with.
Wednesday's donation will be followed by other contributions to the Kalinago Sports Committee. The contributions are valued at about $2,000 US. In football, the St. Mary's Academy secured 3 easy points when their opponents, the Dominica Grammar School, failed to gather sufficient players to form a 13 and under team at Portersville on Tuesday. Still at the same venue, the schools battled in an under-17 match where Dominica Grammar School secured a 2-0 win over St. Mary's Academy. Meantime, at Benjamin's Park, David Jabalera of PSS placed 2 in the net of Isaiah Thomas Secondary, with Linton Marshall scoring 1 for ITSS in a 13 and under clash. And again, the schools face off for a game in the under-17 category where PSS beat ITSS 1-0. And in some netball, the Convent High and Portsmouth Secondary were the winners in Tuesday's edition of the Sports Division's Secondary Schools Netball Championships. Adoring fans cheered on host Convent High as they brought guest St. Mary's Secondary to their knees for a humiliating 41-4 and 25-1 defeat in the under-20 and under-16 categories respectively. Meantime, Portsmouth Secondary also gained home advantage, pounding St. John's Academy 28-9 and Dominica State College 31-18. That's all the time we have for sports. Join us next time.
Up next, Flashback. Hello everyone and welcome to this week's edition of Flashback. On this week's program, we take you back to 1995 when American Eagle decided to make its inaugural flight into Dominica.
American Eagle Flight 5492 making its inaugural landing at Melville Hall Airport yesterday. The coming of the Eagle has been highly anticipated by tourism and other officials on the island. In a small ceremony held before the landing, Communications, Works and Housing Minister Earl Williams outlined some of the benefits the American Eagle flights will bring to Dominica.
For our country, it will impact favorably and positively to our economy. It will make travel to our shores easier and more direct. As a result, we'll encourage more visitors, tourists and business persons to our shores. We expect that with Puerto Rico as the connecting point to North America and beyond, less time will be spent in reaching destinations. We expect also much improvement in our postal services. Mails coming from the United Kingdom and Europe, and also from America, will receive speedy treatment because of the new routing which will be made available by this new service.
Prime Minister Edison James welcomed the first passengers from the Eagle flight and also cut the ribbon to welcome the service of the American Eagle to Dominica.
Since then, American Eagle has pulled out of the region in an effort to cut $75 million in labor costs. Liat and Seaborne Airlines have since taken up the slack. This has been this week's edition of Flashback. I'm Julian Morris, inviting you to join us next Wednesday for another exciting edition of Flashback. Time now for your latest weather report.
Good evening, viewers, and welcome to tonight's weather broadcast. Weak and stable conditions continue to affect the islands of the Lesser Antilles during today. However, just a few low-level clouds moved across Dominica, resulting in generally fair skies. Meanwhile, radar imagery indicated just a few isolated showers across the area. These conditions are expected to continue into the earlier part of tonight. By late night, the weather is expected to become increasingly cloudy, with partly cloudy to cloudy skies with some scattered showers expected by tomorrow. Sea conditions tomorrow will be moderate in open water, with waves peaking near 7 feet. And looking ahead, weak and stable conditions are expected to continue to affect the island over the next 3 days, resulting in occasional cloudy skies with some scattered showers. And across the Lesser Antilles tomorrow, partly cloudy to cloudy skies with scattered showers are expected. And on the international scene, rain is expected in New York and London, thunderstorm activity in Miami and Caracas, and Beijing is once again expecting snow. The sun will rise tomorrow at 6:09 a.m. and will set at 5:32 p.m. For further information, call the weather hotline at 447-5555 or visit our website at weather.gov.dm. Thank you for joining us this evening. Have a good night.
And that's news. The headlines again are warning that the acts of terrorism in France could delay the EU's post-Erika assistance for Dominica. OECS heads push for improvements in regional air transportation to match the pace of regional integration. And the Council on Aging condemns elderly abuse, urging everyone to enlist in the fight to end it. Email us at news@mapping2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube page. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Thanks for watching. Join us tomorrow.